So good afternoon, everybody, and you're very welcome to this presentation on the BA Global Media GI 135 here at NUI Galway. This is a very new program. It starts for the first time in September, and we're very much looking forward to delivering it and to teaching on it. Just a quick introduction to NUI Galway first. This is the university. This is the quadrangle building, the very famous picture here of the quadrangle building. NUI Galway is celebrating 175 years. Indeed, we're 176 years old this year. We've been around for a very long time. This is a really global university with close to 20,000 students based in the west of Ireland, but really in the top 240 universities in the world. So it's a really global university with an enormous footprint, both in the west of Ireland, but also in the region, and indeed across the country and internationally in, you name it, medicine, engineering, natural sciences, social sciences, the arts, the creative industries, and of course in our own area in media, technology and culture, and so on as well. So a little bit about the program first. What to expect, how the program runs, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what the modules are, what the career opportunities might be, and so on after that. So the BA Global Media is a new program, and it's very much responding to industry trends and market demand. And what do I mean by that? Well, we went and spoke to employers, and we asked them, what is it that you want to see in a graduate? Not today, but in sort of 5-6 years' time. So in 2025, 2026, 2030 even. What are the skills you're going to be looking for when it comes to hiring graduates in the creative industries, in the wider media and communications industry? And we took that information and we put it into a program. And that's what we have here with the BA in Global Media. NUI Galway has a long tradition of teaching, for example, media studies. For example, we have a really great journalism program, fantastic journalism program actually here in NUI Galway. It's a sister program indeed to this program here, and there's a really great program in film and digital media as well. This is something different though. This is a different kind of program. It's a new program, and it's bringing together, in some ways, the best of different things, and offering you new opportunities in the creative industries where that creativity meets technology. That's really what we see it. It's preparing graduates, as I said, for specialist careers in digital communication and the wider creative media and technology industries. So it's merging that fusion of media, creativity, and technology. And elective offerings, for example, include media production and journalism, creative coding and web media, and film studies. You'll also be able to take liberal arts modules, offering a wide degree of choice. And for example, this is a joint honours degree. So alongside global media, you'll be able to take a second art subject to degree level. And what that means is you'll have a double honour or a double major at the end of your degree, really making you a very employable graduate, giving you a wide degree of choice in terms of what modules you might like to study, what areas you might like to study, and so on. And of course, as you know, the BA degree really is just the entry point into your education. Really, in order to get that professional experience and that professional expertise, you probably need to think about doing a master's degree. And we offer direct entry, which is a really great thing, into our MA programs in journalism, in sports journalism, and in the MA in global media, subject, of course, to meeting the criteria for entry to those programs, which would be a minimum requirement for any program. But if you do meet those criteria, you're offered a guaranteed direct entry, which is great news for all you guys. So how does the program run, and what can you expect to do on the program? So it's a globally focused 4-year degree with the third year, a full year off campus. So you have some choices in third year as to how you want to make up that year, but you're a full year away from campus in your third year. In first year, so you take global media as a subject alongside 2 other art subjects. So without wanting to confuse you, every undergraduate year is worth 60 credits. That's what we call them here. Every module is worth 5 credits. And then we do 2 semesters. So you do semester 1 before Christmas and semester 2 in spring. And you take 3 subjects. So each subject will have 20 credits each, or 4 modules each in that first year. So 2 modules per subject in first semester and 2 modules per subject in second semester. So for example, you could take global media alongside information technology, economics, politics, sociology, history, law, philosophy, English literature, or the modern languages, Gaelic, French, Spanish, or Italian. So those are the choices that you have in that first year. After first year, then you drop one of those subjects and you keep on global media along with the second subject to degree level, as I said, in the joint honours or double major kind of structure. That's how all degrees work here at NUI Galway in the arts, in the College of Arts. So that's a really, I think from my point of view, that's a really great thing, because it gives you that flexibility to study global media, a subject you're passionate about, but also have something that gives you a real backbone, a real sense of having a great degree, a great arts degree. So you could take any of those options. We would certainly recommend, for example, if you're considering the technology route, that you consider taking IT in first year. After that, you can choose whether or not you like it or not. But would certainly recommend you take it in first year. If you're really good at languages, obviously you might want to take one of the languages in your first year as well. Or you can take any other option you like from the list available, depending on what's available in the different groups in the arts subjects. So that's the program outline across kind of in broad terms. Let's look a little deeper then into each year and what you study in each year. So in first year, as I said, you take 20 credits of global media. So it's four modules, 5 credits each, and they break down as follows. The first one is history of media, and that module is shared with the BA in journalism. So you're in the same class as those students, and that's where you're looking at the history of media, of journalism, of communication, how we got to where we are today in terms of everything from the Gutenberg press, the first kind of printing press to print the Bible as it happens, all the way through to kind of the birth of radio, the birth of television, and so on, and obviously the birth of kind of newspapers and the news media and that kind of thing, and looking at that critically in terms of how it evolved and how we got to where we are today, and that happened differently in different countries. The second module you take is Introduction to Media and Communication, and that's the Media Studies and the Communication Studies module. So this is looking at kind of big issues like ownership of the media, how the media frame stories, what makes the news and how it makes the news, why we should think critically about what makes the news. That horrible phrase, that old chestnut, fake news, what does it mean? Disinformation, misinformation, and so on. The digital literacy 101 is an introduction to, I suppose, digital skills in university life. So how to use basic enough research tools. What do they mean? How to be literate digitally. So media literacy, so how to understand media, how to think critically about media, and so on. And then the last option there you have is creative coding and web media. That module is very much introducing you to kind of hard skills. So how to use, for example, WordPress, and how to start to learn some very elementary code. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and so on. You don't have to take it in your first year. There is another option, a module called Pop Culture, Media, and Society. We would strongly recommend that you would take it in your first year. Try it out, see how you get on. If it isn't for you, it isn't for you. But we really would say in first year, you should try it out. Give it a go. You don't have to keep it on after first year if you don't want to. There are other options like media production and some journalism or some film studies that you can take after your first year. So second year. Second year then, it's a full joint honour. So you do 30 credits of global media and 30 credits of the other subject. So what are your choices? So Power Without Responsibility is the first module. That's a kind of follow-on module from Introduction to Media and Communication, introducing you to ownership and bias in the media. So again, critical media studies, understanding that we can't always trust what we see on TV. We can't always trust what we read in the newspapers. It very much depends on who we're looking at. So for example, what is the difference between the BBC News and Fox News. And I'm sure you can tell me what it is. And we'll be looking at that in much more detail, obviously, in that module. Social media, theory and practice. Many of you will be TikTokers, or you'll be using lots of social media apps to be Instagramming all the time. But how do we think about social media critically? Why should we be concerned about social media? Why should we worry about it? And then how do we create content for social media? So writing for the web, SEO, search engine optimization, SMO, social media optimization, creating content for social media, social videos, and so on. Verification and debunking, a really important thing. And analytics. How do we think about understanding data around social media and learning from that? So that's what that module is about. Then a module called the Golden Age of Television, looking at television studies, a really interesting module in your second year. And then you have a choice between different strands. And you could take creative coding and web media, kind of a follow-on from the first year module. And that's a 10 credit choice there, where you look at kind of more advanced, more intermediate, I suppose, web media and coding and development and so on. Some user experience design, that sort of thing. Media production and journalism. So again, you'll be learning how to, for example, podcasting comes up there in year 2, writing for the media, that kind of thing. Or film studies. So some modules you can take in film studies as well. So that's your second year of global media there in that. Then third year is your global experience year. So this is the year where you're entirely off campus for the year. You have the choice of whether you want to spend the full year working in an internship, or you can study abroad for the year. Let's say you took French, you can go to study in Paris, for example, or Bordeaux, or indeed in Canada, in Quebec. And you can study there in that language for the year, really improving your language. You don't have to do a language to go abroad. You can, of course, also go abroad under the Erasmus scheme to stay in Europe, or under the study abroad scheme if you want to go to the US and Canada, or indeed now the UK as well, and study there in English as well for a full year. Or you can do a combination of both. And I would certainly say you should think about doing both. Think about getting a global experience, going abroad for a semester, and also doing some work experience. Both of those things are really valuable and really worth having on your CV. Then in your fourth year, again, you finish your fourth year looking very much like second year in terms of the structure of it. You've got 4 core modules, and you choose between one of the elective choices. So the 4 core modules are contemporary Irish media, policy, politics, and practice since 1922. So we're looking at kind of how Irish media has developed since the foundation of the state. So if you think about that, a very, very early attempt by the Irish government to control the media. Censorship of Films Act, for example, 1924 was one of the first pieces of legislation introduced by the Free State government to censor films because of the power, as the government saw it then, of film, sedition, and so on. And we see that right throughout the history of the state. There's been a very uneasy relationship between journalism, but not just journalism, the wider media, so film, radio, broadcasting, culture, and so on, and government, and how that developed. And then going right through the emergency, the war, the joining of what was then the EEC in 1973, and then the modernization of Irish media and policy and so on, the Broadcasting Act, the birth of independent radio, the birth of TG Cahir, the Irish language television station, the birth of commercial television, and so on. And sport, how sport has diversified there as well as, I suppose, the impact of media on culture, the role of media in the promotion of Irish language, in the promotion of theatre, in the promotion of Irish culture, and what that actually means in 2021. Or 2022, indeed, 100 years since the foundation of the state. So that's going to be a really interesting fourth year module. Then our second module there is we need to talk about gender, identity, race, and sex, looking very much at the role of the media in how it portrays women, how it portrays identity, how it portrays race, and indeed sex, sexuality, and so on as well. Media research methods, which is an academic module preparing you to do media research. How do you actually quantitatively and qualitatively look at the media? media ethics and legal affairs, looking at the Defamation Act, copyright, those kinds of issues. Again, a very useful module to have. And then you can choose between media production and journalism, creative coding and web media, film studies, or you can do an academic dissertation as well in your 4th year. So that's the 4 years broken down for you, and I think it's really exciting. We're really looking forward to teaching this program. It looks really great to me. So what are the specialisms? And let's talk a little bit about those in terms of really understanding what your options are. So the first specialism is media production and journalism. And this is really designed to introduce you to the world of journalism, I suppose, a sheep dipping in journalism. Obviously, if you want to be a journalist, you really should do the BA in journalism, but this is giving you some little introduction to that life with some modules in journalism. News features, how to write them, podcasts, how to make them, and multimedia, some video production in your 4th year. It prepares you really for application to postgraduate study on highly competitive programs such as the MA Journalism and the MA Global Media, if you're interested in this particular area. And you could opt to spend, as I said, part of your 3rd year abroad or working in a media-related company as part of an internship if you take this particular specialism. And the modules will include podcasting, writing for the news media, magazine journalism, sports journalism as well, and digital media production. So you'll be doing those kinds of things in the modules in 2nd year and in 4th year in those areas, if you take this particular specialism. The second specialism then is creative coding and web media, very much responding to the liberal arts, very much responding to industry needs for liberal arts graduates to have digital coding skills. We're being told all the time that employers really want arts graduates who understand web media, who understand how to code, who are able to work as developers, UX designers, user experience designers, that kind of area, to have data. Those are the kind of things that employers are really telling us. And this particular specialism is preparing you for that future market demand, especially if you combine it with an IT as your second arts subject. So we would recommend, if you're taking this specialism, that you take IT as your second arts subject. You don't have to, but we'd recommend that you would do that. So this is really introducing you to creative coding. So languages like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Python. Python's a really important coding language. Web media, so writing online, SEO, social media content production, audience development, and community management, and analytics. I should also, of course, mention there an element of user experience design and design thinking, and then also creative data storytelling and visualization. So how do you actually use data to tell stories, and how do you visualize those stories when you want to tell them? So those are the modules that you take on this second specialism if you choose this particular route. Third one then is film studies. This is offered by our colleagues in the Houston School of Film and Digital Media, where you can take a sprinkling of film studies. Again, I would say if you really want to be someone who studies film and digital media, you should do the BA in film and digital media. That's the place you'll get much more of a mainstream film and digital media education. This is just allowing you to taste some of that if you're interested in it as a sort of a specialism, but no more than that. And then also, I'm delighted to announce that we'll also be offering, by the time you get into second year, and indeed in first year from September now, we'll be offering the opportunity to take some of our modules as options through Irish. So you'll be able to study the global media bilingually, some modules in English and some modules as Gaeilge. So that's going to be really, really novel and interesting and useful, I think, if you want to take Commerçage, for example, as one of your options. And if you plan to work in Irish language media after you graduate, this is a really great option for you if you want to do that. So just to mention as well, and there's a separate talk on this, but just to mention it here, you can of course take global media as an arts subject within the BA Joint Honours, the arts degree, which is GWEL 101. It's just a 3-year subject there though, and these are the options there. It follows the same pattern as all other arts degrees. You choose 3 subjects in first year, and then drop down to 2 subjects after that. But you don't have a 3rd year. you have first year, second year, and then final year. I know it's technically third year, but you don't have a third year in the way that the BA Global Media students have a third year off campus. That doesn't exist in the arts degree. It's just a 3-year degree. And then you also don't have the same range of specialisms. You can't take the full list that I just talked about there a few minutes ago. So it's more of a global media light, I would say, within the arts degree, but still a very interesting option if that's what you want to do. Further study then, well, we know that 66%, or almost 2/3 now of our graduates, go on to do a master's degree. We would really recommend that you think about that, even from first year, that you think about this as a 5-year 4+1 degree with an add-on MA. I think if you think of it in that way, you get the liberal arts kind of liberal arts degree in 4 years, you get a year abroad in your third year to give you the global experience, and then you get the really high-end professional specialization in the master's degree. So I couldn't emphasize enough the importance of thinking of this as a 4+1 with the add-on master's year. That's going to be really, really important for you guys if you want to work really at the high end, at the cold face, and kind of really, really cool and interesting jobs. They're looking for people with very specialist experience and very specialist skills that we'll be offering across the 5 years. So you'll get a good grounding, a liberal arts education in your 4-year, and then you get the specialization in your master's. And as I said, you have direct entry now into these master's programs. The MA Journalism, including the International Journalism and Human Rights stream that's coming on board in 2022, the MA Sports Journalism and Communication, and the MA Global Media and Communication, which is just growing every year now. It's becoming a really popular master's degree, that one as well. And in that one, you can do digital technology, you can do business and financial communication, you can do humanitarian communication and human rights, or you can do climate action and STEM and science communication in that one as well. So again, you have lots of options in that master's, but that, of course, you have time to look at that. That's not for 5 more years, if you like. So then careers, what kinds of careers would you be set up for if you did a degree like this? So, for example, tech companies like Google, Facebook, Instagram, and so on, social media and content production. So working as a content producer or a social media executive, communications, PR and marketing, the radio, film and television industries, politics, public administration and public affairs, EU institutions, NGO, the diplomatic corps, and charity sector. So those are the options that you'd have, for example, working in a kind of a communications or media role in this kind of career. So I think fascinating, really interesting jobs there. Facilities, just an example there, our top there, you'll see we have our radio studio. That's Sean O'Rourke from RTE, and some graduates, in that case, some MA graduates, although all of them would have done BAs as well. That's Amy, Blonid, and Robin there with Sean O'Rourke. And in the bottom there, you'll see our 4K television studio. She's actually working on programming there. We have podcast facilities. We have a digital radio studio. We have state-of-the-art media lab. We're building right now a digital sandbox space, and we have a brand new 4K broadcast television studio as well. Some of our lecturing staff there as well, just to get a sense of who teaches with us. So we have professors, adjunct professors, honorary professors. We have senior lecturers. We have very experienced people like Unchi McDougall, former journalist Kelly Fincham, former professor from Hofstra in New York, and also one of the co-founder of a number of digital startups. Fiona Corbett from iRadio, and Andy Cunningham from the Connacht Tribune, Keith Duggan from the Irish Times, Mike Finnerty from Sky Sports there, Roshan Healy, who's a magazine journalist, Eleanor Mannion from RTE, Maurice Hassan-Gould from TG Cahar, Conal Farda, former Irish Examiner journalist, Deborah Miranda there, as you can see, a wonderful Mexican television and documentary editor who works with our students on motion graphics and on television editing and so on. So really interesting mix there of our staff. And some of our student media, Flirt FM, the radio station, Galway Pulse, the website, and Send newspaper, the student newspaper on campus for students. And that's it. That's it for me. So if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to us on our website. That's the website for this course, GO135, or on social media, you can get us at JMC NUI Galway. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to also, you can catch me today on the live chat. Happy to answer any questions you have. One question that keeps coming up all the time is, what are the points going to be? It's a very difficult question to answer. I don't know is the answer. We think the points will be around 400, but it's very difficult to say because the points will not be set until CEO set them in August. So if you look at other similar courses, around the country and indeed here at Galway, this kind of program is coming in somewhere between kind of, 390 and maybe 420. So we think around the 400, 410 will be about where it's set. That's what we would imagine for it to be. I really hope you think about applying. If you have applied, I hope this answered some of your questions. It's a great program. We're very excited about it, and we're really looking forward to seeing you all in September, hopefully here at NUI Galway. And I wish you well. I wish you the best with all of your exams coming up in June and with your results in August. If you have any questions at all, as I said, reach me on the chat or feel free to email me or contact me on social media if you'd like to do that. Thanks very much. That's it, folks. Bye-bye now.